Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the last episode of the weekend review for the 2024-25 season, where I look back at what happened at the weekend with Burnley and the teams that they were battling it out against. And obviously, with it just being the title on the line this weekend, it was just Burnley and Leeds that we'll be talking about once again. And I tell you what, this show seemed like a good idea 3-4 weeks ago when I started it, because Burnley had started winning games and brung themselves properly back into that top two battle. Because obviously at first I would do Burnley, Leeds, and Blades. So that I enjoyed them. Not that I'm not going to enjoy this, but yeah, it's just absolute sickening now. I've got to sit here and talk about the moments that Leeds essentially snatched the title away from Burnley in the 91st minute. But what I will say is it doesn't feel like that to me, because Leeds were already top and I expected them to win. And even though I remember checking that, because I was checking the, I've maintained that I've been consistent with it, that I wouldn't have lost any sleep if we didn't win the title, and we didn't win the title and I didn't lose any sleep. But the way it happened, I remember checking my phone at 85th minute, and the guy next to me was like, what's the lead score? I'm like, it's still 1-1, it's still 1-1. And the guy in front of me went, still 1-1. He's like, come on. I'm like, relax, they're going to score. This is what Leeds do. They will score a late winner. I expected you to blow them away. And just looking at some of the stats, I feel like you did blow them away. And that obviously is a perfect time for me to bring the stats in, shall we? And as you can see there, yeah, just move that down there. But as you can see there, Hull Plymouth even scored. What I don't get, right, I've not seen the highlights for obvious reasons, and I'm not going to watch the highlights. 0 shots on target from Plymouth, yet 1 goal. What was it, a deflection? I've not. You'll have to let me know, Leeds fans, in the comments. But just looking at that, look at how much that Leeds have battered them there. And we can't really complain that they scored in the 91st minute, whatever it was. Was it the 91st? I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, 91st. But yeah, it was an own goal. Okay, yeah, could have just looked at that. So that's how Plymouth have not had a shot on target and scored. But yeah, that just goes to show the dominance, right? 2.62 xG to 0.49, 0 shots on target to 4. Only 1 big chance for Leeds, to be fair. I have seen the goal where you won the title, to be fair, and if I remember rightly, it was quite a way out, so that probably wasn't a was it? I can't remember actually. I think it was. So that won't be down as a big chance. But yeah, you can't look at that as a fan of Burnley or Plymouth and feel hard done to, really, can you? Look at that, and it's just been the story of the season, really. To be fair, hasn't it? Like, nobody can sit here and say that Leeds don't deserve to win the league because they're top of the league after 46 games. That's how it works, and that's what I always took exception with when certain fans were saying, "Oh, if Burnley win the league, it'll be a disgrace. Leeds have deserved to win it." No, if Burnley would have been top after 46 games, Burnley would have deserved to win it. That's how it works. But moreover, the fact that Leeds are top when somebody in the division has got 100 points just shows that you deserve to win it. Yeah, to win the league when somebody else in the league has got over 100 points means that you have had to be superb or incredibly consistent throughout majority of the season. Obviously, Leeds have lost a few more than Burnley have. A couple more, I think. Is it just the 1 defeat for Leeds? I think it was, wasn't it? Sorry, just the 1 more defeat for Leeds. I'm just quickly getting it up on my screen now. And it's showing me the playoffs. I don't want to see the playoffs. Yeah, 4. But other than that, obviously, the thing that cost us was the 0-0s and the draws. So yeah, I mean, someone put it brilliantly, and I'm not sure if Leeds fans will agree with this. I think it's a brilliant way to summarise the season. Leeds won like the first half of the season, Burnley won the second half, but obviously we just didn't score enough goals. Them 0-0s cost us, and obviously Leeds ended up winning the season. But them 0-0s cost us. And I know there's ifs and buts for every team. Blades could have it, Sunderland could have it as well, and Leeds will have ifs and buts. But if just one of them 0-0s, is turned into a 1-0 win, we had a 0-0 away at West Brom, and again, I understand that Leeds fans will say, "Oh, well, this happened in that game and that happened in that game." I get it. But we had a 0-0 away at West Brom, and we scored a perfectly good goal in like the second half. I was going to say the 85th minute, but I can't remember. But it was quite late in the second half. Jadon Anthony scored a perfectly good goal. Referee ruled it out for no reason whatsoever. If the referee gets that one decision right, Burnley win the league. But like I said, I've been consistent with it. I'm not overly fussed. I didn't lose any sleep. It was just the way it happened. Just it had to be that way, didn't it? It's just typical of Leeds. And I mean, you've probably all seen the tweet because a lot of Leeds fans dived on it. I put Leeds score a last minute winner, shock, and then people were commenting saying like, that shouldn't shock you. We do it all the time. I'm like, it's sarcasm. Like I expected Leeds to win that match. I expected you to go on and win it late on when you weren't winning. Even in the 85th minute, I was saying they'll still win that match. But yeah, my reaction, and you've probably all seen there's a Burnley vlogger called Bradley Miller. Check his channel out. He did a vlog and he was a lot more gutted. He's like, no, Leeds have scored all this. And I just literally whipped the phone out. And as I was looking, because I think it was Brownhill got fouled, or somebody got fouled just as we were about to score the third goal, because it was a free kick, a little break in play. And I quickly just got my phone out. And as I was looking at it, it went from 1 to 2, and the 2 was red. I just went, yeah, Leeds have scored, put it back in my pocket. And then I went, F's sake, yeah, they've scored. That was literally it. But expected it, but typical Leeds this season, that in it to do it in that fashion. And Bradford as well. I know, obviously, I'm just because you're so close together. Bradford winning it the way they did it, it's just like that side of Yorkshire just had an absolute mental end to the season. And fair play, like I said, Leeds have deserved to win it because they've won it. That's how it works. Right, we'll go on to the part now where we look at what the manager had to say. So here is what Daniel Farke had to say. As usual, if you're new to the show, I don't play it all. Mind you, it's only 3 minutes 41, so I'll probably play quite a lot of this. But we just kind of play the first minute or two just to get a feel of what the opposition, what the Leeds United manager had to say. So here's Daniel Farke after the match with the Leeds fans in the background after just winning the championship in the 91st minute.
Well, Daniel, your name's being sung and the season has finished in exactly the way that you will surely have hoped, hasn't it?
Yes, of course. So, yeah, it's amazing. And, if I'm honest, there's not 1% energy in my tank anymore. So I'm so done, but also so proud of the boys, of the whole staff, of the whole club, of our supporters. 100 points to win the league also in this way. Again, many resilience also on the way even today, and to have this belief and in the crunch time period of the season to be there with our best performances, with our best results, also the crunch time period of the last game day to be there. So we want to get rid of this old brand, and our Leeds is falling apart when it comes down. Now we can right now sing this song pretty proud and know, okay, when it really counts and we have this winning mentality. I'm so proud of the lads.
They left it a little late though, didn't they?
Yes, in the first half, looked a bit like we have celebrated too much. We didn't move the ball quick enough. Had already a few chances anyhow, but I think we're not at our best. A bit understandable after amazing performance in last weeks. And then was difficult in the second half. So, of course, Plymouth wanted to take also a good last game day into the next season. They've won 3 out of their last 4. It was difficult, but we always believed in it and believed in the group and that we can always score a goal, and the decisive goal. And thank God, yeah, the Let's delivered again.
I think Leeds need a new song. It's Leeds rising to the occasion, because the last 5 or 6 games, when we really needed it, I think the spirit they've instilled in this side is fantastic.
I told you this was why I signed for this club in the championship. I would have never signed for any other club.
I'm just laughing at the chant. Nothing else, just the chant there.
On this level, but I know what potential this club had. And I told you, once I was at Elland Road, in different colors, I got the feeling, so one day I want to stand here and want to help that this old brand, or we always get nervous and we don't bring it over the line. We get rid of this brand and get a new reputation. And I'm so glad that together with my boys and my lads and the whole staff, we were able to create this during the season. I think this is one of the key reasons why we played, in terms of points, definitely the best season in the history of this club.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. And again, I've been consistent with it. I like Daniel Farke. I think he's been under some unnecessary scrutiny recently in terms of his job. Not sure whether it was the Daily Mail messing around. Not sure if it was the Leeds hierarchy putting stuff out there. I'll never know. And the majority of us will never know either. I'm sure Leeds fans in the comments, let me know what you think it was. But I'm glad that the chairman, is it Parag? I never know how to pronounce it. I think it's Parag, has come out and backed him now, because I did see some images of him just sitting in the dugout. Now, there were only images. I didn't see them and watch them. he could have just been having a moment, but it looked like he was sort of like distancing himself from the celebrations, and I did feel a bit sorry for him at that moment. But yeah, it's good to see him there talking about how proud he is of the boys and stuff. I mean, I know it's an easy soundbite when you've just won the league, but you do feel like there's a bit of togetherness there, and Daniel Farke sort of like created that together. Same with Scott Parker at Burnley. That's exactly how I feel at the minute. Like last year under Vincent Kompany when we were getting relegated, it didn't feel together. It just felt like the club were going through the motions of players on the pitch as well. So it's good to see when teams are like together in the battle together. I feel like that's definitely happened this season with Leeds, and Farke has definitely instilled that. But yeah, he deserves a lot of credit. I still don't feel like he's getting the credit that he deserves. The best ever season in terms of points in the history of Leeds United Football Club, and then there was still people questioning him and whether or not he should be given the opportunity to lead Leeds into the Premier League next season. He's obviously got a history of shortcomings in the Premier League. But I feel like after you've just done that with a club like Leeds United, you've proven that you probably are a better manager than what you was when he failed, if you will, at Norwich. Obviously, he got relegated with Norwich. He wasn't really backed, if I remember rightly. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I just don't really feel like he was backed that much at Norwich. Leeds will back him. They will spend a lot of money in the summer, and Leeds will back him. Again, the chairman's already come out and said they're going to spend a lot of money. Doesn't always work. Just ask Burnley. We spent reportedly around 150 million quid. It was a little bit less the last time we went up, and we went down with a whimper. We were awful. And Leeds fans will probably sit here and say, well, our recruitment's good. Our recruitment was good until that summer. Like the season before, when Vincent Kompany came in, he had Ben Mee leave, James Tarkowski leave, Dwight McNeil leave, Nick Pope leave, all these players and leave, and the core of the squad was completely ripped up. And then we brought in some really good players: Nathan Teller, Ian Martson, Josh Cullen. Some brilliant recruitment. But then for some reason, the recruitment just wasn't as good the year after, and we signed a lot of players that just ultimately weren't up to the job of keeping us in the Premier League. So Leeds have got to be careful. Yes, they've got to spend big, but you've got to get the recruitment right. I know they've got the recruitment right recently. Obviously, Tanaka's a brilliant footballer, and he was brought in relatively cheap, if I remember rightly. Obviously, everyone knows how good Bogle is and knew how good Bogle was before he went to Leeds, but another good bit of business. So Leeds have shown that they can do the recruitment well, but they've got to get it right again this summer, especially if they're spending so much money. But yeah, I'm delighted to hear that Farke will be given the chance because I think he deserves it. Right, let's bring in the Leeds fan. Let's bring in Connor. And I've not watched this yet, but I'm laughing already because as I was skipping past the new intro that he's got, which takes about 3 minutes, I went into the first few seconds of it, and it's hilarious. But let's see what Connor had to say. I would presume he's going to be in a good mood.
Champions again, ole ole. Champions again, ole ole. Champions again. Champions again.
I can air dry that microphone.
Again, ole, ole. Champions again, ole, ole. Champions again, ole, ole. Champions again. There, everybody. Leeds United, champions again. Get in there. Fantastic stuff. We've said it, haven't we? We said it all along. We said it. All the one leaders, all the OLFC gang, all the patrons, all you lot. We were in the Blades Ramble chat. We said after the 3-1 champions again, ole ole, we got vilified. And here we are.
Can I just point out, when you drew it home to, was it Swansea? I think Connor had a bit of a wobble. So he's not always been saying that. I will just get that in there.
The premonition has come to the fore. Leeds United, everybody. Champions again. It deserves 2, 4 eyes, 6 eyes. Listen, everybody, what an unbelievable last game. Jesus Christ. But let's sit back. Let's dab our foreheads. Jesus Christ. Get rid of that sweat. It's a beautiful day outside. Look at it. Look at it. Look at that. I've been in all day. But it's all worth it, everybody. It is all worth it. Lads celebrating. Is that the most Leeds thing ever? Is that the most Leeds thing ever? To do that? Just ecstatic. Poor performance from the lads. But
was it? I mean, again, I've not seen the highlights. You guys tell me. Looking at the stats, as I said earlier, I'm surprised Connor said that. But I'm just going off the stats. I didn't watch it. Looked like Leeds battered them.
We should have had an offside goal. I thought changes should have come on quicker. I thought Ramazani and Schmidt and Rothwell should have been introduced. It looked like a tired I tell you what, drinked up Leeds United side. That's what I'm thinking. It was a drinked up side, and you can look. Who cares? You've had the drink, whatever, but perform on the last day. Everybody, listen. Sheffield United got beat here not long ago. They got beat here not long ago. They've got a very good record at home park. But
I'll just point out that Burnley won 5-0 there.
listen, we've done it again. It's champions again, ole ole. And I'm enjoying this in the championship, eh? I'm enjoying our little league wins. It's nice, isn't it? But it was really important. We needed that. Why did we need that? Because everybody, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, silverware is so important and it's so difficult. It is so difficult for Leeds United to get silverware, especially in the football pyramid right now. Let me just dab my head. I feel like a boxer. I feel like...
Yeah, we'll leave it there because he's very eccentric, as much as I love him. But I agree with that, obviously. We did win it a couple of years ago. So it was good to see. The chances of Burnley or Leeds, some could argue Leeds have got more chance because of the amount of money that they're probably going to invest in the summer, but we've already touched on that, of winning a proper trophy, one of the main three, the Prem. Obviously, that's out of the question for any of us, at least for, I'm going to say 20 years, but you could probably argue 50. But the FA Cup or the League Cup, they're your only real options now. Again, we could potentially Conference League, one of the two clubs, if, the likes of Fulham and Bournemouth are knocking on the door, then who knows? And then when you're in there, you're playing a bunch of painters and decorators, aren't you, more than anything? But yeah, I agree with that. That's why I was so happy to see Burnley win it a couple of years ago and win it the way that we did. But I've already seen Burnley win it twice. So yeah, I completely agree with that. And it's good for clubs to be able to do stuff like that and to be able to celebrate the way Leeds fans have done. Like, look, there's no sour grapes from me. It was good to see sort of like the scenes in Leeds yesterday. Obviously, we had not yesterday. I'm recording this on Wednesday, so yours was on Monday. Ours, for some reason, was on Tuesday, when it should have been on the bank holiday, in my opinion. But apparently, Burnley Council don't work on bank holidays. Well, Leeds have managed it, so I'm sure we could manage it. And, every football fan should be able to experience something like that at least once in their life, unless they support Blackburn Rovers, obviously. Look, obviously, I am disappointed Burnley didn't win it, but I agree with Connor there. Like, football fans should be able to experience that and the stuff that the Leeds fans have been experiencing this weekend, at least, once in their lifetime. Some fans are lucky enough to be able to experience it a few times. And yeah, hopefully Burnley can again. And thing is with me, like, the one thing I haven't seen us do now, like, I've seen us in the Premier League. I never thought I would ever see Burnley in the Premier League when I was growing up. I've been lucky enough to see us in Europe. Some people will argue, it was only the qualifiers. But I went to Aberdeen to watch Burnley play in the Europa League match and Greece against Olympiacos, the most decorated club in Greek history. So I've seen that. I've seen us win at Old Trafford. I've seen us win at Anfield. I've seen us win at the Emirates. The one thing I want now, I've seen us win the Championship twice. The one thing I want to do now is see us win a major honour. And obviously it's only going to be the League Cup or the FA Cup, isn't it, as I've said. So it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely, I know it is. But at 37 years old now, am I asking for too much? I don't think I am. Hopefully I've got another 40 years left minimum. So I agree with that. It's only the Championship, and I don't say that because I mean that. I know some football fans will say that. But for clubs, of the Championship and who are just outside that sort of like top hierarchy of Premier League clubs, and with the gap that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it's always going to be harder. So yeah, I agree with Connor with that bit. Obviously, I just wish it were early this weekend, but I've seen it twice already. Right, let's look at the league title challengers then, shall we? And that is, of course, Burnley Football Club, who a good win at home against a difficult Millwall side. I thought that they started well. Look, I obviously do the pre-game shows on this channel, and I had a very confident Millwall fan on, very confident he was, and he said that they'd beat us. I said what I think will happen is Millwall will come at Burnley very early on. They'll attack us. They'll press us high. They might potentially get a goal in that moment. I think in the end I predicted 2-0, so obviously I can't get everything right. But that's exactly what they did. They pressed us really high up the pitch. They got in our faces. They tried to make things happen, and then they went 1-0 up. And you couldn't really argue at that point that they deserved to be in front. But we literally scored about 40 seconds after that straight away. It was straight from the kickoff, passed it back to CJ Egan-Riley. He lumps it forward up to Ashley Barnes. He flicks the header on, goes to one of their defenders who messes up the clearance, to be fair. Ashley Barnes then tackles him. Straight into the path for Joshua Brownell, who loves just latching onto them balls, just loves arriving late in the penalty area and slotting it in like Gerrard-esque, slotting it into the bottom corner. And then from there on in, we were the better side and deserved to win. Just looking at the stats there, 1.99 XG to 1.51. I'm surprised that theirs is actually that low, because they had the chance. I can't remember the name of the lad who missed it now, but you've probably all seen it. The chance where he's 2-3 yards out, he's in the middle of the net, and he just slots it. I'm going to say wide then, but it wasn't wide. It hit the post. But despite that, they should have gone 2-1 up. But I stand by what I said on the balance of play. I feel like from the moment we scored and the rest of the game, we were the better side. But I'm giving that largely to the second half, because another thing that I did say in the pre-game show is that Millwall will tire, because they'll start with so much intensity, they'll start with so much energy, and genuinely they were attacking us in the second half. Like, they get forward slowly, we clear it, and then they just weren't tracking back. They were dead on their feet. They really, really were. And then in the end, we won the game pretty comfortably, I feel like it was. So 1.99 XG to 1.51, 72% possession to 28, 19 shots to their 12, 9 shots on target for us to their 4, 7 big chances. What? I'm surprised at that. I'm trying to think of 7 big chances. That's surely the most in a season for Burnley, that. Maybe not. Plymouth away, QPR away recently as well. In fact, I think QPR was lower than that. But anyway, to their 2, 7 corners to 4. So you just looking at that, you can see who the better team were. We were definitely the better team. And yeah, we deserved the win in the end against a good Millwall side as well, by the way. Like, obviously, when I met up with Connor and Jimmy before, and we were doing predictions, obviously, before the Blades had bottled it, they were looking at the games that we had left, like, oh, you've got to go to Coventry, you'll do well to win there, won there. Oh, you've got to go to play against Millwall, who could need something on that final day of the season. They'll be well up for it. You'll do well to beat them. I feel like in this last 10 games of the season, we've really come into our own at Burnley, and we've been absolutely fantastic. Really, really good. The only real blip on the record is the away game at Derby, but that were a typical Eustace performance, as I've said on here before. So, yeah, really proud of the boys, really proud of how we've done everything in the last 10 games. We've really stepped up and properly kicked on, and that's why we're in the Premier League, whereas obviously Blades couldn't do that. Blades slipped up in the last sort of like 10 games. Well, they just had that mad week, didn't they, to be fair, that mad 3 games, and that's ultimately what's cost them. However, what I will say is, even if they won all them 3 games, they would have finished the season on 99 points. So they still would have finished second. Okay, you could bring in the 2 points that they got docked off them, and then they'd have won it. But we're not about that. There's a reason why they got 2 points docked off them. But yeah, I feel like Burnley were very, very good. Burnley deserved the win against a very good Millwall side. And I feel like I was watching that and thinking, yeah, these boys will be all right. Whether we stay up or not, it's a different debate. But you just know that these boys are going to run through brick walls for the badge, as I said it on the show last week, for the crest, for the fans, and for each other. So, yeah, we were up against it against Millwall, especially in that first half. They were playing in a typical Millwall way, sort of like in our faces, battling with us, turning it into a battle. And we stood up to that battle. We stood up to the test. And, these guys, I think, did they win at Bramall Lane or drew at Bramall Lane recently? I think they won, didn't they? So they got a very good result there. And look, we stood up to the test and managed to get past them. And I think that shows how good we are. Bring in Scott Parker, the Burnley manager, and see what he had to say. Another one who's done it on the pitch. What is it with being on the pitch on the final day of the season? But yeah, let's see what Scott Parker had to say after Burnley beat Millwall and reached 100 points, but ultimately finished second.
Scott, congratulations. A wonderful afternoon at Turf Moor. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, I mean, look, 100 points this year. Unbeaten in 33, am I right in saying that? Unbeaten in 33. And yeah, all the records that we seem to have broke, you would have thought it would have been enough on any other year to win the league, and that's not to be, but I think, but nothing but proud about with this squad. What we've achieved this year is nothing short of remarkable. So ultimately, really happy. Yeah. Emotional as well, darling. Emotional.
A little emotional. I was going to say, at 100 points, it shows how competitive the league has been this season to reach that, and not claim the championship, the title, but it just shows how tough it has been. But that shows that we've been up there, how tough to be and how good we've been.
Yeah, look, we've probably been chasing for large parts. We've just been, and we've stuck with it. Like I always say, and I won't get bored of saying it, an incredible group that have found a way in certain moments. We all have, to be fair, the players, the staff, all of us have found a way in certain moments to. This is a tough league, a competitive league, which demands certain traits in people that you need to produce. And I mean, it's fair to say the two teams have obviously gone away with it this year. And I honestly don't know whether this has ever happened before, that a team on 100 points lose the title on goal difference. But look, we'll enjoy this moment. The players deserve to as well. So
yeah, we'll leave it there. Obviously, just again, just going back to what I said earlier, it just shows how good both teams have been, that one of them can get 100 points and still miss out on the title, and another has to get minimum 100 points to win the title. It just shows how good they've been. Obviously, Scott Parker referenced it there, that both teams have in the end run away with it, and that's exactly what happened. We both finished 10 points clear of Blades. Obviously, both already up on the final day of the season, both promoted with, 3 games left, something like that, when Burnley beat Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. So yeah, it just goes to show how good the top two have been. And the top three as well, let's be fair. If it weren't for that mad week against, who were it now? Oxford, Plymouth and somebody else, Millwall maybe. Blades will be up there with us as well. So the top three have been absolutely superb this season. It's a shame for Blades that they've slipped away. It's obviously not a shame for us and Leeds fans. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I fully expect them to go on to win the playoffs. They're just miles better than anybody else in there, but that's a different debate. But yeah, I agree with Scott. It just goes to show how good the top three have been in the league this year, and just goes to show that we've really had to be at our best to be able to get the promotion, because if we weren't, we'd be where Sheffield United are now, and we'd be preparing for a game against Bristol City. Right, now let's hear from how the Burnley fans reacted to this. And again, I'm going to do the most narcissistic thing in the world and bring myself in and see what I said, my immediate fan reaction after the game against Millwall. Right, okay, fan reaction time then. Burnley 3, Millwall 1. And yeah, we deserved to win the match. We deserved to be promoted. I'm absolutely over the moon with the way that the season's gone. I think we've been absolutely superb. Full season unbeaten at Turf Moor. That is superb. Nobody else has done that. Yeah, can I point that out, by the way? I'm absolutely buzzing with that, because we nearly did it a couple of years ago when we won the championship under Vincent Kompany, but we lost against QPR at home when we were already promoted. And because of that, if we'd have won that game, we'd have won the league. But because of that, we managed to win the league at Ewood Park. So I would have swapped that for that, and we got that. So I'm glad we managed to do it this season, because we've never done it in my lifetime. I doubt we'll ever do it again in my lifetime, go the full season unbeaten at home. So I'm over the moon to see that, because I don't think I'll ever see that again. In the Championship, I've not seen Burnley ever do that before, and I'm 37, nearly forgot. So it's good to see Burnley go a full season unbeaten at home. And obviously, what are we on now? 33 games unbeaten, absolutely superb. And it's a season that, despite there being a lot of negativity at certain parts of the season, especially in the earlier part, I feel like it's one we're all going to look back on with a lot of fondness. Obviously, that's an obvious thing to say, to be fair. But just the way it's ended and the way it's gone, and just the way that the lads have ended up like showing that they are, not that they ever weren't, but just getting it over the line and showing that they are worthy to be in the Premier League next season. This second half of the season, not even the second half, since that Millwall game in early November, there's been a few 0-0s since then as well, where a few people have lost their heads. I don't think I ever really lost my head, and I always feel like we, should I say, are one of the sort of like calmer pages. We do get fan reactions from other people that criticise Parker and criticise the players, and I do criticise the players myself. But I always feel like we've been quite level-headed, and I've always felt comfortable that we'd go up, and I'm obviously really happy to see us go up. Also very happy to be proven right. But no, I feel like Parker got a lot of stick earlier in the season, and it's a shame to see certain names on Facebook and certain accounts on Twitter that have just gone silent. Like, they're not praising Scott and the lads now, and it's such a shame. And I know it's not, I know the 99.9% of people who say, get Scott Parker out now. We've lost against Millwall, or we're 1-0 down against Norwich at half time. He needs to go. 99% of the people who said that will now turn around and be like, he proved me wrong. I stand by why I said it at the time, but he proved me wrong. But it's such a shame to see certain accounts and certain people just now go silent. It really is. I'm thinking of a certain account on Twitter. Obviously, I won't mention it. And a certain person on Facebook. Again, I won't mention it. But, yeah, superb. 100 points as well for the second season in a row. We have been brilliant this season. There's a cat's cock hair between us and Leeds. And ultimately, they deserve to win it because they've won it. That's how the league works. Yeah, we'll leave it there because I'm obviously starting to repeat myself a little bit there with the stuff that I've said. Oops, there we go. The stuff that I've said on here and on there. But it genuinely was that you could have put a fag paper between Burnley and Leeds this season. The only difference was Leeds were better going forward. And obviously the way that the league differentiates between teams when they're stuck on points favours goals, right? Because obviously it's goal difference. Obviously, conceding less helps. That's why our goal difference was so high. But then after that, I think it goes for goals scored, doesn't it? So that's the only difference. Leeds were just better going forward. And yeah, there's not much between the two teams. Obviously, even in the two games, yes, Burnley avoided defeat and got the 4 points. Just thought I'd get that in there. But even in the two games, there was literally one goal. One goal in the two games. So yeah, there's not much between the two sides. And it's good to see that the best two teams in the league have been promoted. In my opinion, that's all I'm bothered. It would have been a shame if someone had properly ran away with it and then, like, I don't know, got a really bad injury, for example, and bottled it. Obviously, Blades, because was it Suter that got injured for Blades? I can't remember. Could argue that, but again, I don't feel like they were running away with it at any point, really. To be fair, so yeah, look, I feel like the Leeds fans get that as well. Obviously, I was mentioning there about the Scott Parker thing. There's certain pages and people on Facebook that were constantly banging the get Parker out drum. He's useless. We need to get rid of him now if we stand any chance. The one that I saw regularly from people was, we are mid-table fodder. I was like, what are you basing that on? And then when we started getting better, it's like, oh, we are playoff fodder. It's like, well, we're getting better now because you called us mid-table fodder last week. And then now we've been promoted. These people that were not everybody, obviously, as I just said, but these people that were criticising him regularly, and now they're not enjoying the promotion. It's bizarre. Like, you're obviously not a fan of the football club. You are just a mourner on Twitter or Facebook. Like, they were mourning every single week, slagging Parker off. And I used to get one guy coming on Facebook, right? And if we'd lose or we'd do an, obviously, very rare this season, or draw a 0-0, he'd be like, I told you, mate, you're a happy clapper. He needs to go. We're not good enough. We're never going to go up. And I just let him have his say every time, so close to blocking him because he was winding me up. And then now we've been promoted, nothing, silence, not enjoying it, not like getting nothing, not even I'm not even expecting some certain people to be like, yeah, I was wrong, because some people can't do that. But just not enjoying the promotion now. You just know he's sat in his room with his curtains drawn, fuming that Burnley have gone up, and he's supposed to be a Burnley fan. I don't know if Leeds fans will have that as well, judging by some of the stuff I've seen regarding Farke on Twitter over the last few weeks. I would suspect you do it. Every fan base will have them, of course, who will. But I just find it bizarre. You can't be a proper football fan if you're not enjoying this now, because you'd rather be proven right. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Obviously, that's the last ever weekend review. Well, not last ever, last for this season. I will bring them back next season, as I've said. We'll start off doing it for Burnley, Leeds, and the playoff winner, having a look, see how they get on, and maybe having a wider look at sort of like how things are shaping up in the league as well as the season progresses. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. We will do a podcast for this as well. So if you'd rather watch it, listen to it on a podcast as well, just search for Turfcast on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, all there, and you'll be able to find it there. Cheers, and I'll see you next season.